Hi everyone. Sorry, I was fiddling, coming up with other things, another way of doing something as I do. Hi, welcome to Thursday. We've been busy in the shop. We've had some deliveries. You saw what's in the box with the Blizzard Blues and the Iris and Ivy, along with all the other stuff. Well, they're on the website now, so go start buying. There will be a fat quarter bundle of the Iris and Ivy. There's 11. We've got 11 fabrics, so they will be what did she say? £32 for a fat quarter bundle for those. It's £30 for the Blizzard and Blues because the Blizzard Blues. Because they're 10 of those, and of course we have the Alison Glass in as well, which has already started selling because it's just beautiful. I noticed Sarah's already started sewing with it, so it's been long awaited for us. We loved it so much we bought all of it. Right, today we are doing a popcorn shopping bag. I was really quite pleased with this one. Okay, so let's just say hello first. The sound keeps cutting out. I'm frozen. There is not a lot I can do about it. I'm really sorry. They're working across the road. Oggy have pulled up the sidewalk pavement. Talk British there. They've been going through the pavement. They went through our electricity yesterday, so anything could happen. So just bear with us, okay? Apparently it plays better on rewind if you lose any of it, all right? So, Claire, there's posh. Finally got speed. Well, we're hoping when Oggy comes through, we've already told them that we want it. So we'll go from there. We'll see. They're just taking long enough to get it in. So, all good? All good. Hiya, Linda. How you feeling? You had a busy day yesterday. It was Linda's birthday yesterday. So happy birthday, honey. Right, so without any further ado, we are going to go to the overhead, if I can remember where they all are. So this is our popcorn shopping bag. So it folds up quite small, okay? You can make these in any size you like, all right? And you could still use the same way for a little makeup bag or anything. So this is the popcorn bag, all right? So it's got an elastic. You probably don't need an elastic quite as big as that, but it was what I put my hand on. And it unrolls and it comes like this, and it's all fat packed. So now we'll go to the front view. See, it's all nicely folded and finished. And then look at this. So I'm going to put that in there because it'll, look at that, it grows quite big. Now you could make this any size you like. The ones that I've been seeing come up as an advert was really quite long, so you could do it for a metre, so if you wanted it to be an extra bag. Because you can see as it filled up, it would go longer, if you see what I mean. And if you've only got a little bit in there, it's shorten thing. But I thought it was really cool. So we are going to make that. Now this is made, see, and then when you pull it on the sides, where were they? When you pull it on the sides like that, it's it goes flat again. You just fold it in half like that, and then fold it up, all right, or roll it up, whatever you want to do. Okay, now that is how you do it, like that. Okay, now I've forgotten to bring elastic over, so this one that I'm making is not going to have the elastic, but that's all right. We'll put this bit in, and it'll work. Okay, so there's your bag. Now I've used this. I've used a was it 1/2 meter? Now what we're going to do, because it's 50 that way, and what is it, so 50 centimeters that way, so we're 20 inches that way, and we are 22 inches that way. We're going to do it like this. Now I want a long ruler. There's a long ruler. Look at that. So we're just going to chop it in half. Now this, I wasn't sure on whether or not this was a really good idea, but you could fold it at the bottom. I think it needs some sort of seam or something to give it a little bit more stability. And we are going to, oh, look at that, she's brought me some elastic. Oh. See, I wish I think everybody needs a Sarah. She just appears with all sorts of stuff. It doesn't happen when I'm at home though. So I'm just trimming up the edges so that they're exact. Lining up my ruler at the bottom and just trimming it up at the sides. Okay. Now we are going to do edge of foot on here. Okay. So edge of foot, and we're just going to sew a seam. Okay. Hi Allegria. Nice bit of batik. It's on the website, Jean. We've got some nice batiks. We've got some new batiks coming in, I think, at some point. Now, I'm going to change my mind. I'm not going to do edge of foot. We are going to do, I wanted it bigger than what I did before. So I'm going to follow this line here on my machine, which is a 2 on there, which would be about 1 inch, I think. No, 1/2 inch. So is that 3? That would make that 4. Yeah, 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, so I'm just going to put in some back stitches there, and then we're just going to go along here. There's too many wires down here. Get my... There we go. There we are, that's better. So we just going along here. Because I'm going speedy, it's not particularly straight. Just putting in this, and we're going to do a fell seam. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to cut that there. Right, so back over here. Where are we? Here. Right, so we have done a seam, right, like this. Now we're going to do a fell seam so that it's we can hide it pretty much. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to open the seam like this, and then we're going to chop. Well, that wasn't very good, is it? You might want to pin it. Right, and we're going to trim that at 1/4 inch. Our bottom seam, I've opened up the seam, and the bottom bit I'm going to trim it off at 1/4 inch like that. Okay, so just trim that off there. And then what we're going to do with this is we're going to fold this seam over like that. And then we're going to sew it again. I'm going to go over like that. I'm going to iron that. I'm going to fold it over and sew it again. All right. So let's go over here. So what have you all been up to? Anything interesting? I've been sewing a lot. I sewed this yesterday, and I've been doing my Hunter's Star. I was saying to Sarah, I was having real trouble getting the getting my points, you know, getting it to line up, and it appears that I was measuring my 1/4 inch off the wrong edge. So if you look back on Sarah's blocks this week, I think she was explaining it about it. I found that I was having to measure 1/2 inch, but I was measuring from the wrong edge. And I did swear, but when we put it together, it was like, wow, that really works. So I am now going to sew down here. Now I am working with petite, so there's no real right side or wrong side, but you would do this right sides together, okay, and then sew it so that this then goes in here and you have a neat line. Where am I going to put that? That's not right. I'm going that way, aren't I? Wind it over that way, like that, and we're going to sew it along here on the edge. So I'm going to a 4. There we go. So I'm just going to, this is getting caught. It's not flowing well. I had to do a bobbin earlier, and it just keeps catching. I'm pulling out. So, yeah, it's getting caught on the thread, on the thready thing. Right, do I want to do that or that? So we'll open that up like that. And we're just going to put it on the edge. I'm following this line here, the perspex on it, the see-through bit. I'm just lining that up and putting another line in. Which then encloses your edges, and you would do this neater than me anyway, and it gives that extra strength at the bottom of the bag if you're going to fill it with tins. So it's like quite a small yeah, it's really catching. There we go. Right, okay, so where are we? Yes, it's all enclosed seams. So we now have our enclosed seam, okay, like that. So there we go. We have that. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to put the bits at the top, all right, the hem at the top. Now, you're just going to fold it in to enclose the raw edge and iron it. Okay, like that. So we've done a 1/2 inch turn, and then I'm going to measure it with the strapping that I'm going to use. I want to make sure that I've got enough to sew it to. So I'm going to bring it down by the same width as my strapping. Okay, so do that, like that. And then we're just going to put a top stitch it in place. I'm just using my strapping. I just picked up a nice blue. It caught my eye, it did. And then we're going to take this one in. Like this. So fold that over by about 1/2 inch. Got pins everywhere. Like that. And all along. Like that. So we're at the Village Hotel this weekend for a mini craft fair. So I'm going to have to make sure I don't buy any more beads, because that's the type of thing that I would be looking at if I'm there, to leave my money at home, because I do like a bead. Not that I haven't got enough already. I've got loads in my house. I really ought to do a clear out at some point. So, who has the time for beading these days? Okay, there we go. So we're now just going to put a hem in there, okay? Right, so back over here. So what's our discussion? We've got 2 what, Linda? See, I can't keep up. The grunge glitter back in stock. Oh, has that come in? Oh, nice. Where are we? Number 4. That was in one of the boxes we hadn't opened, obviously. Right, so we're going along here, and I'm just following the edge of the foot bit there. I'm putting in a small hem to make sure it holds it down. So my Betty has been in season this week, and she's a little bit friendly with everybody at the moment. So bless her, we're having to try and keep her away from everybody. So it's a lot to deal with when you're only a year old, isn't it? Poor old thing. And we've got the weekend coming. I went to Birmingham last week. I don't think I've seen you since. I went to Birmingham to see, it was called The King of Reggae. It was a play about the life of Bob Marley. It was really very good. It was all songs, and there was a narrator to say what, I don't know what it's getting caught on, Sarah. It's running fine there. And then up here, There we go. There we go. I've lost more of the thread today. Okay, so yeah, it was very good. The singer was very like him as well. Well, it didn't look like him necessarily, but he sounded like him. I like a bit of Bob, I do. Okay. We're just putting in a hem here. So you might want to pin it down. You know what we like for pinning. Okay, so back to there. We are now going to put on our handles. Okay. Oh. All right, so now you could put long handles, especially if you've got a bigger, you're going to use a bigger piece of material to make your bag. No, that's not what we wanted. So I've just cut what I've got in half. I don't need it any bigger than that. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over a little bit. Now, one of the best ways of doing this is fold it in half and find your middle. Okay, and then you're going to fold that in half and find your middle. And you'll put that middle to middle like that. Okay, and then you're going to fold these over at the ends like that. I don't want to lose too much, but you also don't really want them fraying. Okay, so I'm going to put that on there like that. Fold this one under like that. Okay. Yeah, it could maybe need a new needle. And we're going to repeat that on the other side. Okay, so we're going to fold that in half like that. Fold this one in half like that. Put that on there. Like that. And then we're going to like that. Sarah, I've remembered what we were talking at, what we want for a quilt retreat, what we were going to do as the project for Friday. If you want to remind me when I get over there. I've remembered what it was, I think. Right, okay, so we're now going to sew our little boxes on all the ends. Okay, so we go back over to here. So have you lot seen the glitter grunge? Glitter grunge? It's beautiful. It's a proper subtle, a nice subtle bit of glitter on it, which doesn't come off on your hands. Moja do glitter stuff well. So we're going to go around in the square first, or rectangle. Okay, like that. You don't want it too big. You just want to make sure that it all encases. So we're back to where I started. So we're going to go corner to corner, like that. And then back along the bottom like that to the corner, and then corner to corner like that, and then back along the top. Okay. Oh, it's a bit enthusiastic, wasn't it? There we go. And we're going to repeat that on all 4 sides. So we're getting everything ready now to do all our demos for Hochanda, which is on the 12th, I think, 12th or 13th, whichever's the Thursday along that time. So I think Sarah has 3 programs. She's got a 2-hour one on the create and craft this time, you know, the extra. So hopefully she'll be able to give you some really good demos. That's the idea, is that there'll be more time for demos on them. Okay. And back along the top. Okay, so we have 1 handle on. We're getting a handle on this, aren't we? Right, what's the next bit? We're going to do this again. So, oh, go on then. So, round. There we go. This is always end up with like, or used to end up with like 3 going up and downs. I could never get this right, but I saw something yesterday which explains it really well, and it makes sense to have the strength on the bottom and the top to hold it in place, especially if you're going to use this as a proper shopping basket bag. Okay, last one, and then we're going to do the folding. Okay, so how are we doing? Okay. Oh, that one's moved, I think. Never mind. Okay. So Beth did crochet last week. I saw Anne managed to keep up with her as she was doing her heart baskets. When they're cute, I really like them. I started. We were talking about projects that were only half finished. Yeah, and I was saying about I haven't finished my lily pond yet. So I started a new project. I had some wool, rainbow wool, of course, and I'm doing a corner to corner scarf on it, which is looking stunning. I'm loving it. Okay, so that's our handles on. Right, where are we? Let's go back here. We're nearly there, I promise. So we now have handles on either end. Okay, see our handles. So now what we're going to do is you're going to fold this into a concertina. Now you want to end up with your handles to meet in the middle, all right? And you want, if you can see from this one, you want them to sort of like stagger. You don't want them stacked one on top of the other. You want them to lay a little bit flatter than that, okay? You only need, because of the length of this, you're only going to get 3 folds really, okay? So a folded one. So if we line that up with one of our lines on the mat, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, and we fold it 4 all along the line, and then come back. And you want to make sure that it's all lined up with your middle line. Okay, pretty much. There we go. So it's lining up like that. Then this one, you're going to come in a little bit like that. Can you see that where it is? And then we're going to fold back. Now this must be a little bit shorter. Maybe we'll come up 3. And we'll fold 3. Because 4 was too big. We do 3 and come back and fold it a little bit shorter. Come back, and then you bring that in line. So you want to make it so that it's fairly straight. Let's bring that one back a bit like that. Okay. So you want it to sit like that, so that these are going to meet in the middle like that. How cool's that? So we're going to stick a doobly what's it at that end and a doobly what's it at that end. I'm going to turn it over and repeat. Let's stick another one there. Shall we make sure it stays together? Right, so we've got that one going on. We're going to fold this one, so we'll line up that with a line like that, and then we reckoned 3, wasn't it? 3 inches. Is that about 9 centimeters? 3 inches, like that. You're going to come back. You want it to sit there, like that. It's amazing how much space, how little folds you can get when it looks like there's loads of fabric. And then you're going to come back here. I want that to meet there. I've got more fabric on this side. 1, 2, 3, like that. Just like that. Now you can be a bit picky and make sure that they're all sitting exact, but you're not really going to notice. I'm going to try and make it so that they all just sit nice and neat with your handles, like that. Now I'm going to trim my edges again to make sure that I have flat edges. Here, like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to baste those bits down. Okay. Now I'm sort of rushing this one, okay? So you would take your time folding them. Like that. I'm going to put those in there like that. And we're going to go back to the sewing machine and we're going to baste on those edges. Alright. Now, I wanted, let's have a bit of this. We're going to baste this. It's not long enough. I'm going to baste a bit of this, and you want to put it on your back piece over to the side. Okay, so we're going to put that in there. Now you can either use the elastic like I have so that it bedoings a little bit, or put in a bit of an extra bit of this, which I meant to do. So we're just going to baste those down the sides. Okay. Yes, you want the handles to meet together in the middle. Okay. But how you concertina it is entirely up to you. We're just going to baste that down. You want it to be less than you're quite close to the edge, about 1/4 of an inch, between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch on the end. You just want to baste them down so that they're not moving while you're putting the binding on. This one. Where's it gone? There it is. Okay. Now remember, you've got quite a few layers here, so take it steady and make sure you're keeping them in place. Okay, and all you're going to do now is bind the ends. Now I am a bodger. We know this. I just bodge ends. Okay, so what we're going to do is you want a little bit, oh, hang on, camera. Yes, you only add this bit to one side because it's just for the elastic for you to hold it. Okay, so you only need it on the one side. You don't need to put it all over the place. Right, I've got a 2.5 inch strip here for my binding, and I'm going to iron one end down. Put this over. I'm going to iron it in half, as we do, like that. then iron it into the middle so it becomes a bias. All right. Now, one of the things I noticed about the June Taylor Sash and a Dash is that one side is slightly smaller than the other side, so that when you put it on, if you put the bit that overhangs a little bit on the back, when you're sewing it on the front, you know you're catching the back, which I thought was a very clever idea. Must have been designed by a woman, is what I thought. So I've got one that meets more in the middle than the other. Okay, so I'll do that. Now, the end piece. I turned that one in and folded it, right? Now I then cut the edge. And again, like I do, right, which way are we? We're bigger on that side. So we're going to put this on here like that. And what you want to do is you want to be able to fold this over. But you also want to put this in. And I can't remember how I did it now. I think I cut it like that, so that this went in like that. On like that, and then this folded down, over, and then over again like that, which enclosed your edge. I'm sure there's a better way of doing that. What did I do with all the bricks? So we're going to fold that over there, and then we're going to go round to here. And that was one of the things that I meant to check out when I went to bed last night, was to check out how to fold these down. Maybe you want to take that one in. I know that there's a way of doing it, I'm sure. So I'm just going to do that. Alright, so that is folded and you've enclosed your end. I will check it out and I will show you how to do it next week, if I remember. Right, I'm just going to sew along here now and encase that raw edge. So, take that one out. Let's put one up 4 so you can see me doing this. So we're just going to take this fairly close to the edge, but not right at the edge. I'm going to go through here like this. Just down to the end. There we go. So we now have one end encased quite nicely there. And then what you would do is do the other end, and then it folds in half, rolls up, and we'll put another piece of this through here. Okay. you would put binding on both ends, all right? So that, go on, that's what there we are. You would put the binding on both ends, and then this would then roll up like that, and then this would just go around it like that, and there you have a bag. Da, da, da. So let's have a look and see what you've been saying. So the handle edges should meet together at the seam you stitch at the start. Yes. Which little pieces? That little piece? Yes. Only add that to one side, but I'm going to add that other piece to the other end, so that you end up with another thing. Now, if you want it to be smaller, there's no reason why you have to make such a big bag. You can see this one, it actually worked out longer. So you just need to, I mean, if you had different a fat quarter, you could make a small one, which would just take your lunch or something like that. But they're quite good. I mean, if you made a longer one, that you could pack that in your luggage and use it as a going on the plane one, with all squishy. If you needed to make it smaller, I should have made one for Sean. Right, that's it. That's me done. I think we've already chosen what we're doing next week, so that will come out, I'm sure, on a scheduled post over the weekend as to what we're going to do. And we will see you next week. We'll let you know if anything new comes in. Come and see us at the Village Hotel on the Junction 32, I think it is, in Cardiff. What else is going on? We'll be back next week. If anything new comes in, we'll do a What's in the Box. But if not, we'll see you on Tuesday. All right? Okay. It's a nice little project. It would be ideal if you're doing craft shows or anything. It's really quick. I mean, what's that? That's $13.50. And I had to talk as well. If you were, once you've made one, they sort of make up quite quickly. You could put on, the strapping. You could put the strapping, instead of cutting it, re-sewing it and everything, you could just put a piece of strapping so that it meets where the seam was, and just top stitch it to there to give it stability, or just leave it as it was. It's not as if you're going to carry anything that heavy that it wouldn't hold, so you could bypass that. Okay, I will see you next week. Have a really good weekend. You take care. Bye bye.